Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to make your first million in sales? And today we have a fellow podcaster, someone that have more than 1,700 episodes I saw. So today we're gonna have a lot of fun and we're gonna learn a lot. So Alan, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I do you want the short version, the mid version, or the long version?
Go for the version you want. I think the short version we do.
Okay, short version, short version. So I'm a CEO of a podcast called Next Level University. As you mentioned, I'm a fellow podcaster. I am a business coach. That's primary focus. So I'm mostly coaching business owners. So I have 23 people on my roster right now. The youngest is 16, the oldest is 63.
Wow.
Everywhere from starting a brand new YouTube channel as a youngin, like my 16-year-old, all the way to I've been in business for multiple decades and I'm ready to scale and grow. And it's been massively fascinating to learn from people all over the world, all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all different industries, all different types of businesses, and just to see what the 21st century has in store for everybody. Because quite frankly, business is, the principles are the same, but the way you apply those principles are completely different now, particularly after COVID when everything's virtual. So I have a 23-person team, and business leadership and effective communication are the three main things I do. And so that's why I'm here. And I'm here to help anyone listening who's watching or listening to this that is in the first 2 to 5 years just trying to make it through, trying to make a brand, trying to build a real business, trying to replace a full-time income with your own business is not an easy feat, despite what Instagram says.
Exactly. So Alan, let me ask you a question because you used to have a corporate job, and let's face it, corporate they pay you guys very good money, right? Make you really comfortable. So why you decided after have a very comfortable life, paying you a lot of money, right? You decided that no, you're gonna drop all that and you're gonna decide to become an entrepreneur, which is very risky thing to do.
Yes.
What happened?
So when I was 26 years old, I got in a car accident. And when I was 2 years old, my father passed away in a car accident when he was 28. And so my father died at 28 in a car crash. And so when I was 26, I got in a car crash and I reevaluated my whole life after that. So really the truth of the matter came down to I was very successful in corporate. I did computer engineering bachelor's. I did my master's in business. I've got my MBA. And I worked for a company called Cognex. I worked for a bunch of different tech companies, and I had a big investment portfolio. And again, big is relative. I had a $150,000 investment portfolio. I had paid off 84 grand worth of college debt in a single year back in 2014. And then in 2015, 2016, bad winter night, I ended up getting in a car crash. And this was my quarter life existential crisis. What is the point of all this? Because I had a stepfather. I'll go brief with this, but I had a stepfather who left at 14 and he took 90% of the income with him. So through high school and college, we were pretty broke. I was broke.
Wow.
Through high school and college, I was broke. And I got scholarships and financial aid, fortunately. So I was able to go to school. My mom helped out a bit too. But at the end of the day, your deepest pain, usually you run in the opposite direction of it. So I figured money was going to solve a lot more than it really solved. And so it did solve some things. Like having a really high income solves a lot of problems. It really does. And I think lessening that is just silly, but it doesn't solve everything. It doesn't solve everything. And it doesn't make you fulfilled. It will help. It will help, but it won't make you fulfilled. And so the way that I describe it now is prior to my car accident, 26, I was very successful and deeply unfulfilled. After my car accident, I went all the way past broke, liquidated all my assets, sold all my stocks. I did personal growth, personal development, self-improvement. I was super fulfilled as a person. I got really into fitness model, fitness coach, fitness competitor. And I was super fulfilled as a human being, but I was broke and unsuccessful. So I went from successful and unfulfilled to basically super fulfilled and pretty unsuccessful, which also sucks. And so I now, 9 years later, am finally in a place where I can authentically say, I want my current life to be an amplified, my future life to be an amplified version of what it already is. And so if you, bucket one is successful and unfulfilled, bucket two is fulfilled and unsuccessful. And I would say a large percentage of the population, statistically speaking, are in one of those two buckets, a very large percentage. And then
100%.
there's some people in the bucket of not successful and not fulfilled, and that's a large percentage too. I think the rarest percentage, the percentage I think we all want, is to be both successful and deeply fulfilled, where the success is in alignment with who we are and who we want to be. And so that's really what I do now for a living is business owners come to me and they say, listen, I need to reinvent myself. I'm successful, but I'm unhappy. And so we have to reinvent your business. We have to reinvent you. We have to realign everything. Or you're super successful. Super fulfilled, but you're not successful. And so a lot of people, early entrepreneurs, are very fulfilled doing what they love, doing what they're passionate about, doing, they're in their purpose and their calling, but they're not succeeding. They're not making money. And I get it. I was there for years. And so that's really what we all want. How do you make money living in your passion for a purpose, meaningful progress toward meaningful goals in alignment with your calling, but profitably, in a profitable, sustainable way where you don't have to work 15-hour days, 7 days a week? And then hopefully you get to a place like one of my clients, her name was Yvette, and she said, Alan, I'm already really successful. I already love everything I'm doing. I just don't want to work 12-hour days every day to sustain it. So I want to try to scale this without having to put in any more hours. And so hopefully we all get to that level eventually.
Yeah, Alan, I agree with you 100% because let's face it, my first business that I have here was a property business. I did it for the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
A friend come and told me I needed the money. My dad got sick in Spain. I didn't even have money to go and see him. You know, he was in Spain. I was here in United Kingdom. I don't even have the money for the ticket to go and see him and to look after him. It was so my brother had to take all his saving to put in to save my dad's life. I couldn't contribute not even £1. So I was feeling really, really bad back then, and I was working in a pub here in London. That's what you do when you don't speak English properly here. You come and you grab the first job in a pub or something, right? So, but I was so angry with myself that I didn't have money. And then I have a friend that told me, Harry, the real estate you make good money. And he was doing it, and he told me a little bit, and I started my business from real estate literally for the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this we managed to sell over 5 million doing this business. Don't get me wrong, but eventually it was uh, because I was doing it for the money. The money was there, but the fulfillment was not there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what you were saying. So eventually, we de-escalate this business. Because it doesn't matter that you're selling million if you don't fulfill somehow, it will dry off. And then we went to this journey similar like you, that what do I really want, right? Why do I knew what I didn't want, yeah, because I also in that process yeah, this business was so successful. Then I decided also to open a restaurant, and I lost 200,000 and 2 years of my life working 2 years, Monday to Sunday, for 2 years in a row, to make the thing work, and it never works. So
Wow.
I knew what I didn't want, yeah, and I knew that the business that I have is not gonna do it for the money. Eventually, it doesn't matter how big this thing is gonna go, I will feel unfulfilled, and I didn't even want the business was running by itself, and I remember that our team, our employees, they were telling me, Harry, don't come to the office. We don't need you. We run everything. But I was thinking, they were telling me don't come to the office, but I didn't want to come to the office either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? because the fulfillment part was not that we were doing literally for the money. So
Yeah.
after a lot of personal development work and a lot of discovery, I finally start to do what I like, which is helping entrepreneurs and do this a conference that we do all over the world, helping entrepreneurs to grow the business, and we do talks for universities, and
Nice.
we do these big speaking tours. So Alan, it's a lot of I tell you what is the biggest lesson there, and we talk with a lot of entrepreneurs. The issue is that the entrepreneurs, when they are going to this path and they don't work 360 on themselves, they storage all the negativity, all the bad feelings, all the all this negative baggage that you carry when you're building business, right?
Mhm.
And your first client is not always good, because you're starting, so he
Yep.
will complain about your product, and then you don't have so much money, so you will hire the not the right employees for you, so then these people are going to be sitting doing nothing, and you pay them all your money, so all this
Yep.
negativity come to you. And but the issue is that this negative pain, emotional, can become a physical. That's why a lot of multimillionaires that some of them, they die of cancer or they commit suicide, because they are not looking overall the whole picture to achieve that balance. So what's your view, uh, how important is for entrepreneurs to grow the business in a, what we call it, in the 360 way, not only the
Yeah.
finance part of that, but the fulfillment part of this?
It's everything, but it makes everything more challenging and less challenging. I'll explain. So at Next Level University, we talk about health, wealth, and love. And when you say 360 degrees, I think what you mean is holistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's we talk about holistic self-improvement. And so what I've found coaching business owners, you're either really good at the professional development side or you're really good at the personal development side. Very rarely do you find someone who is really strong in both. The problem is we do really need to be strong in both. So, for example, I went to school at a top tech school called Worcester Polytechnic Institute. I was a computer engineer. And so a lot of my fellow classmates are multimillionaires, very successful. They do very well in tech in the 21st century. And they work for some of the biggest companies in the world. And that's all great. And that's awesome. And they're very professionally developed. They have a lot of hard skills. They know tech inside and out. They can do spreadsheets. They know mathematics like the back of their hand, physics. They have hard skills for days. And what I've found is a lot of them don't have soft skills. They don't have the emotional intelligence. They don't have the social awareness. They don't have the effective communication skills. They don't understand empathy and vulnerability and humility. And so it's very hard, I think, for someone to be an amazing speaker and amazing in your intimate relationship and empathetic and vulnerable and humble and also audacious and risk taking and it's very, very difficult to be all of those things simultaneously because every strength comes with a weakness. So for me, prior to my car accident at 26, I was very professionally developed: resume, cover letter, master's in business, computer engineering, bachelor's of science, math awards, science awards, I was LinkedIn, all that, professional, professional, professional. And so I did very well in the economy, but my relationships didn't do as well. My intimate relationship and my health were suffering because I wasn't as well rounded. And so it's this weird thing where we live in a world of specialization. You need to be unreasonably good at a couple things in the marketplace. I always joke, I say Apple should not sell energy drinks and Red Bull should not sell computers. And that's true, right? You have to be specialized in the marketplace, right? Leonardo DiCaprio is an actor. He's not good at much else, and that's okay. He's an actor. And in the marketplace, that's great. In your marriage, in your intimate relationship with your kids, with your friends in your family, with clients, colleagues, mentors, mentees, leading a team, you better be well-rounded and you better be well-rounded quick. And so I think business is about these two main things. One of them is numbers and metrics and structure and discipline and systems and hard skills and competence. Over here, it's social, it's relationships, it's authenticity, it's integrity, it's vulnerability, it's humility, it's emotional intelligence. And it's very hard to have both. I think in the 21st century in particular, you have to be righty and lefty. You have to be ambidextrous, and it's super difficult to do that. And then the last piece of this is there's a incubator program called Y Combinator. I applied back in 2012 when I started my first business. And essentially what they do is you've got these groups of kids who have this big idea and they have tons of time and effort and they have great aspirations and minds and time. And then you have all these mentors and business owners that don't have any time. They don't have any more effort left, but they do have money and they have experience. And these people have no experience, right? So we give you money and experience at Y Combinator, and you give us time and effort. We get equity, and it's an incubator program. It's basically like a Shark Tank, but less public and less ridiculous, right? And so I applied to Y Combinator when I was in 2012, and the point I'm making with this is they don't like to accept companies that don't have business partners. And the reason why is because solopreneurs usually have massive blind spots that they're not able to work out. And so Kevin and I have a business partner, Kevin, and he's my co-host as well. He and I have similar core aspirations and goals. We have similar core values and we have similar core beliefs. And we also have similar core wounds. We both grew up without dads, but we have very different core competencies. He is not the numbers, math, metrics guy. I'm the guy. He doesn't know tech. He worked at a gas station. Like he was blue collar as it gets, for lack of better phrasing. I was the like academic type A. And so we have really driven to five is what we call it. We call it drive to five. And we've really helped each other work on each other's weaknesses and show each other's blind spots. And sometimes we'll butt heads, but it's usually in a very healthy way where we're both trying to learn. And so he's made me way better and I've made him way better. And so now we can lead a team. We have 23 people. And most of my weaknesses were his strengths, and most of his strengths were my weaknesses. Or no, his weaknesses were my strengths. And so we've really benefited from the healthy conflict that has naturally happened and occurred through the last 7 years. We've been in business together for 7 years. So if you can get a business partner who has similar core values, but different core competencies, I think you are far better off in the long run, assuming you have the emotional intelligence and awareness to actually be humble enough to take feedback. And the feedback is not always fun.
Yeah, and this is number one. I want to ask you, Alan, because every single entrepreneur there, when they start the business, right, all they worry about is to have the product, to sell it, and to make the first million, right? And nobody talks about this. There's very little information about the holistic journey of the entrepreneur, right? And these have consequences. I mean, even Steve Jobs died of cancer. Do you think that that it was so driven with the idea, with the business, that the health took a big hit on the head? With, I'm sure with all the resources and also everything that has around, would be nice to have him longer, right? We have some actors like Dustin Hoffman that after achieving everything that nobody achieved, he had Grammy, he decided to perform for a woman and he did it. He was an amazing actor, and then they hang himself. And you ask
Oh,
him,
not Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, yeah. And then
Yeah.
Robin Williams, and then you find this blockage, and we don't understand what happened, right?
So the mental health piece, there's I like the pyramid as an analogy. So I think very engineer. So forgive me for that. But to me, everything's kind of a pyramid. And so the bottom of the pyramid is your health. And then the next layer is wealth. And the layer after that, I think, is love and belonging. And again, that's a very oversimplification. I actually have we call it the pyramid of fulfillment at Next Level University. It's kind of like a 21st century version of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But it's got 21 categories, and we have our clients rate themselves from 0 to 10 on each of the 21 categories to see if they're fulfilled and what to go to work on, right? But the truth of the matter is Steve Jobs died young, 57 years old, and he didn't take his health as a priority. And it's very obvious when you study his life. And he's one of my heroes, but also not in a way, because I think we're all warnings and examples. Obviously, in many ways, he was a magnificent leader and a genius. And in other ways, he was awful, right? So, and
He
all
was
of us
master
are.
in one of these areas like you were talking about, but
Exactly.
Mhm.
Not holistic. Yeah, not holistic. And so I'm trying really hard to take the example and learn from it, and then take the warning and learn from it, and try to be more holistic. Now, the philosophical question underneath this is, could he have achieved all that while being well-rounded? And the answer is, I don't know, but I think he could have, but it would have taken longer. And so that's my thesis. My thesis is play the long game. And the truth of the matter is, if you don't take care of your health, so the average life expectancy on planet Earth is 78 for women. For men, it's like 76 as of right now. I think it'll go up, obviously, over time. But on average, even if you're the average, you're still going to live to 78, mathematically speaking. And so you need to optimize for that. And I don't think he did. So for me, I'm 35 now, and I'm trying to do my best. Now, obviously, anything can happen, right? But I'm trying to do my best to make sure that I live as long, healthy, fulfilled life as possible. But the problem is, in order to achieve success, it requires a lot of things that aren't good for your health. Being on the road a lot, eating convenient food. Entrepreneurs have challenges that other people don't, and that's quite frankly just the truth. I mean, there's no shut off button. There's no time card. You don't ever stop. There is no, we were at the lake this weekend with her family, my beautiful girlfriend's family, and I worked all day Saturday while everyone else was at the lake, and I had a full schedule, right? And they're entrepreneurs too, so they get it, but they're farther on in their business to where the business runs itself a lot more than at the stage I'm in. At the end of the day, health is first: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And that means mental health. That means emotional health. That means physical health. And that means spiritual health, whatever that means for you. And that's the foundation. And if you can keep that sound, I love a pyramid analogy, because you have to make the bottom wider and stronger before it can get taller. And so for me, everything in my mind is this pyramid with a star at the top. And the star at the top represents success and fulfillment, your unique goals and dreams. Unique is the key word. And so the bottom is health. And if you neglect that, eventually the whole thing topples. And so you have to, and I neglected my health a ton before my car accident. And then after that, I went all in on health and fitness and character and personal growth and personal development. But then I went broke. So then I had to go back to finances and achievement and type A again. And then I overswung that way. And so then I had to, right. And then eventually I found my partner that actually works with me and is a type A achiever too. So whereas before it felt like, for me, success always felt, this is vulnerable for me to share, but for me, success has always felt fairly natural. I don't struggle a ton with self-doubt. I feel pretty confident. I'm a math guy, so I have a lot of certainty about how to reverse engineer finish lines. So success feels fairly easy to me. Relationships never felt easy. Like, if you want business coaching and you want me to help you succeed and track the right metrics and make sure you have the right habits and stay disciplined and accountable, I'm your guy. If you want someone to talk about the weather and enjoy yourself with and have fun, like, I'm not going to be that way. Like, I tell hard truths. I used to think I was a strong communicator. Now I realize I'm a strong communicator to other engineers. And I'm very disciplined and intense and that kind of thing. And also you'll get triggered around me because I'm very confident, that kind of stuff. So I didn't know any of that before, but my relationships were always really hard. And so for me, health came fairly easy after my car accident at 26. Success has always came pretty easy. What never came easy was love. Love is friends, family, intimate relationship, colleagues, clients, mentors, mentees. For me, my relationships are where my deepest pain is. So everyone right now, rather than this being about me, think about yourself. What is the one that's caused you the most pain? Is it, which one are you neglecting? That's all it comes down to. Which one are you neglecting? Are you neglecting your health? physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Are you neglecting wealth and finances? Or are you neglecting love and belonging and community and intimate relationship and kids? Potentially, I don't have kids yet, but, or your pets, whatever's the love bucket. And so whichever one you're neglecting is most likely the one that causes you the most pain. It's the one you feel incompetent in. Of course, we all avoid where we feel incompetent, right? If you suck at tennis, the last thing you want to do is go play tennis in front of people. Yeah, exactly. But what's best for you is to play tennis in front of people, metaphorically, obviously.
I think, Alan, like, life happened to us and we had to take it. And I think that, I'm telling you from my own experience, right? Because my dad lost his dad when he was really young, right? When he was around 15, right? And it was a deep, was very hard for him. He actually never recovers, right? And I have uh, four sisters. My dad have married so many times, and so it's always showing up in the relationship in some way. And he didn't have in his life the benefit, the glory that you have, right? That you realize that if you work on yourself, you can actually heal, right? And I think is basically what he make it mean. Maybe he make it mean that he was unlovable, and
Yeah.
and they left him alone. So it makes it happen, but he makes a meaning, and and that meaning has been carrying with him all his life. He divorced my mom, and again married another woman, and then another woman, and he never had the chance to work and to heal that. Right now is I love it. I love him so much. Yeah, he lives in United States, Miami, by the way. And
Oh, really?
yeah, I go every year to see him. So anyway, the whole point is that um, how can we make entrepreneurs more aware with that blessing, right? That they're exactly what you said. There are points in our life, could be a relationship, could be the business, could be what is our weakest point. And what I admire about you a lot is that despite the hard time that life gave you, growing up broke, and because all this anger accumulate, what happened with your dad, then your stepfather take all the wells, all this anger gets accumulated, and was very easy for you to end up with drugs and alcohol and things like that. And you managed to work the thing around, right? And you managed to be brave to actually work on yourself, because let me tell you, you won't have this lovely girlfriend that you have now if you
Yeah,
didn't do the work.
definitely
Take
not.
take
Yeah.
courage to do the work. Take
Yep.
courage to say, okay, I need to improve something within me. I had to heal something, right?
Yep.
But how you find that knowledge? You realize that because of your car accident, right?
Yep.
But I always share with entrepreneurs like this, don't wait until you have
Yeah.
a deep point on your life to actually turn around. So what can we do, Alan, in order to send this message to all entrepreneurs, or to everybody out there, actually, even you don't need to be an entrepreneur, right? That don't wait until the situation hit you hard in order for you to start to work on yourself holistically. So what obviously they listen your podcast, they're gonna have a lot of encouragement, but what else can we do?
Well, there's two sides, right? And I think that, thank you, by the way, for all that. I mean, when you talk about the work, you're pointing inward. And for men, statistically, that's a rarer thing.
Yeah, we
Statistically
are
speaking,
perfect, right?
men tend to be much more ignorant on the inner
Mm-hmm.
work. And I was too. So I'm saying that, having been there. Because externally I was so driven and so motivated and so competent and so intelligent, and all straight A's through all of high school, all that.
Wow.
Award, all that. But inside I was hurting. My father died when I was 2. My stepfather left when I was 14. And in many ways it's too long of a story, but I kind of lost 3 families by the time I'm 14 years old. And one of them, took me back with open arms, because we didn't really talk to my birth father's side when my stepdad was around. And again, that's condensing, many years into a simple statement.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, how did I turn it around? Number one is the car accident woke me up. And so for those of you who don't have a car accident to wake you up, the way that you wake up is to look in the mirror, and I think it's humility. So I have this triad I teach we have a group coaching program. We do it every quarter. We've done it for 14 quarters. We just filled our 15th group actually yesterday, which is really cool. It's actually tonight. It's
Congratulations.
the first session is tonight. Yeah, thank you. So that's cool. We're almost coming up on 4 years, so it's awesome. But anyways, so it's groups of 10 people, and we have this triad that we teach. And back in college, I took a fire protection course, fire engineering, and there's this triad of fire where it's oxygen, heat, and fuel. You need oxygen, heat, and fuel to create fire. And I think this is a really cool metaphor. You need humility, courage, and vulnerability to create transformation. Now, for me, I didn't have enough humility, courage, and vulnerability until after my car accident to fully self-assess. And so if you are smart, if you are honest with your true potential and you not maximizing it right now, and if you are humble, courageous, and vulnerable enough to sit with that, then you will get a therapist. You will get a coach. You will listen to audiobooks. You will buy hard copy books. And these books, I playfully joke. There's a book behind me called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. It's by John C. Maxwell. And while I don't agree with everything John Maxwell says, that book is world class, world class. And I always joke and I say, I know how great a book is by how bad it makes me feel about myself. And most people are like, what the hell? Why would you say that? Let me explain. Every time, nice. So every time, that means you get it, the fact that you're laughing. There's 15 invaluable laws of growth. And I could read them to you right now. Every time I read this book, it's right behind me. One of my favorites, top 5. I'm just like, oh, I wish I knew that earlier. Oh, I wish I knew that earlier. A book that makes you realize that you are leaving so much on the table. It needs to be something that you see and you feel. You have to feel the pain of your own missed opportunities. I drank too much and too often. I did do drugs for a time. I very easily could have been nothing. There's something called an ACE score, adverse childhood experiences, and people with high ACE scores tend to statistically be into drugs, alcohol, and abusive behaviors and go to early death. And you can research all that if you'd like. And I had a very high ACE score, very high. And I eventually, after that car accident, I just started working on myself. And so you have to be willing to look in the mirror, and the mirror is always painful. And the metaphor is put a bathing suit on the beach and tell me how you feel about your body. I mean, it's that, do that same thing in health, wealth, and love consistently. I did a 5K this past weekend, and I was talking to my girlfriend because she did it with me, and the guy who won it ran a 14:57. 3.1 miles in 14 minutes and 57 seconds.
Wow.
It might as well be an all-out sprint the entire time. I ran a 24, like a 23 something, around it to 24. And I had this moment of realization that whether you were in first or 43rd like me or 125th like my girlfriend, if you are making progress, if you are outside your comfort zone, if you are growing and challenging yourself, you're basically going to be in pain. I think running is a great metaphor because running is just painful. Growth is the same way. Growth is the same way. And so you have to be willing to subject yourself proactively to pain and feedback and challenge so that you don't have to handle it all at once when a car accident comes and you realize you've completely neglected so much. And so that's the only real answer. But it takes courage, humility, and vulnerability. The humility to admit that you don't know everything, the humility to admit that you are not maximizing your potential, the humility to admit that you're neglecting a lot in your life, like we all are, and the courage to actually face that, and then the vulnerability to sit in the horrible, gut-wrenching emotions that come from, holy crap, I do drink too much. Holy crap, I am a shitty business owner. Holy crap, I am neglecting my finances. Holy crap, I am neglecting my health and I never work out consistently. You really do have to humble the hell out of yourself. Otherwise, life is going to do it for you.
Yeah, and especially like you say, usually the people we high perform. I study chemical engineering, right? So we that perform, uh, good at school and we have those grades, right? Then we tend to believe that we know it all, right? And and we are the king of the world, yeah. And at the end of the day, until we don't recognize that there are a lot of things that we don't know, and not because we have high grades and we know it all, right? That's gonna bring us back to humility, because I always said, there are things that you don't know, there are things that you don't know that you don't know, but there is a third element, which is what you don't know that you don't know that you don't know. I didn't have any. Yeah. This is very profound.
Yeah.
It's I didn't know that I had to work on myself. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know when I started my first business. I'm realizing my career as an entrepreneur, and now backwards, I'm thinking, why I did this property business? And I think, wow, I did. Let me be honest. I did it for the money. I need to be
Yeah.
honest with myself, right?
Yeah.
I
You
did the
gotta.
best for my clients. We make a lot of money. We did. Everybody was happy. But at the end of the day, I did it for the money.
Mhm.
So,
And if you weren't honest about that, you
mm,
wouldn't be able to change course for a brighter future. That
exactly.
honesty with self is so painful, but it's so important in order to actually evolve and to transform.
And it's difficult. It's like I said, it's very hard for us to look at the mirror. That's why all the story we hear, that we wait until we have an impact, because it's difficult to look at ourselves in the mirror and criticize ourselves and say to ourselves, what can we improve? Yeah, because that's hard. That is painful, and we don't want to go to that space. But like I said, I applaud you for you for being so young, because you see, you're only with your age. I was starting my first business here in London with 34. So look how well have you done, and how quickly in your life you open this, that because you're doing it for you. You know what happened? You're doing it for you. Your partner is doing also, your business partner, your people in your company are looking at you, and they are also working for you, but at the same time take care. So now you have a big energy in your company that everybody, is happy. They're coming to work happy. They are healthy. They are, they want to have the best relationship, because why why don't have it all? Yeah. My girlfriend, she has a podcast, Awake in Titans, and she's a firm believer that she wanted all. Yeah. She wanted
Nice.
success, she wanted to be healthy, she wanted all. Yeah. Sometimes you cannot have it all. No, that conversation don't go with her. She wants, oh, no, she wanted all. Yeah. She's
You can
wild.
have it all, just not all at once. Right? That's what
Exactly.
it is. Yep.
Yeah. She wanted all. And anyway, so the whole point is that Alan, it takes courage to actually work on ourselves, but this is our responsibility. Nobody else is
Mhm.
responsibility. The only person responsible to work on ourselves is us, right? And if you find, if any entrepreneur out there, oh, my life is perfect, I'm making millions, blah blah. Let me tell you the truth: your life is not perfect. You do have to work on yourself, because the work on yourself, I think, never ends, Alan.
Never ends.
Never
Never
ends.
ends. It's an
Never
infinite
ends.
game.
The more
It's an
deeply you
infinite game.
go, yeah, and
Yep.
and that will, the more you are aware of that, the healthier you're gonna be, the happier you're gonna be, the better life you're gonna be for you, for the people around you, right? And we only have one life, right? So
Mhm.
we can make the decision to make the best of that life. So Alan, I'm going to ask you the question that everybody's waiting for. Yeah. So what are the 5 steps for everybody to make the first million?
You told me in the pre-recording that you were going to come with this question, so I'm going to go right off the cuff with it. So the first step we already talked about, which is look in the mirror, health, wealth, and love. Health is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Okay? Physical is your physique. Look in the mirror. Are you healthy? Are you fit? Okay? Are you lean? That kind of thing. Mental is your mental health. Emotional is Emotional intelligence. Are you emotionally intelligent? Do you understand? Have you healed your trauma? Do you have a therapist? Are you letting your ego drive, or are you actually connected and wholehearted? And then the last one is energetic. It's spiritual. It's are you connected to your calling, whatever that is for you? And are you in alignment with your highest self? And I think we can all feel that. And obviously it's not a 1 or a 0. It's more percentage, more percentage, more percentage. Okay. So that's the first. Then it's wealth. Look in the mirror. So to me, wealth is this. How do you make your money? In other words, do you enjoy it? Is it fulfilling? Is it fulfilling? Because I love business coaching, but I don't always want to do it. It's always fulfilling. It's always fulfilling. You don't know you love something because you always want to do it. You know you love something because you're always glad you did. Remember that. Okay, so wealth. Number 1 is, how do you make your money? And does that fulfill you? Okay. Number 2 is, how much do you make? Is that increasing or decreasing over time? If you're selling newspapers, you're in trouble. Get out of the industry, right? Okay. Move forward. All right. Number 3 is, where do you invest it? Not consume, but invest. Consumers buy things that make them feel good. Investors invest money into things that will make them more money or save them time or make them better. Okay. So that's health and wealth. Love. Intimate relationship first. I would assume kids second if you have them, pets, immediate sort of family. People you live with, I think, is where you start. And then it ripples outward. Then it's your closest friends. Then it's your mentors and mentees. Then it's your colleagues, your team, your clients, and that kind of thing. Customers, community. All right. So the first step is the bottom of the pyramid. And I'll do this in 5 steps. The bottom of the pyramid is health, wealth, and love. Self-assessment. Self-assessment. Full 360-degree self-assessment. To get to your first million. I know it doesn't sound like, what does that have to do with making money? It has everything to do with making money. Yeah, it has to do with making money. All right, number 2. Okay, metrics. Metrics and systems. Goal setting. All right, so this you have to set, and this is the way that I do it. All right. With all my clients, I do this. We call it dreamlining. Streamline your dreams. Okay. Dreamlining is one dream statement that's 10 plus years from now. I wrote a blog on this. So 10 plus years from now, this is just a statement to get a direction. This is the horizon. This is the vision. This is in a decade. So for example, mine is to build the most positively impactful holistic self-improvement company in history. All right. Now, everything that I do,
I love it.
Everything that I do is oriented and optimized for that ultimate dream. And it's a dream you never get to. It's a mountain that there's no top. There's no top of that mountain. Okay. It's just 10 plus years way out in the future. Okay. That's one statement. Keep it simple. Then the next piece is break it into annual goals. Okay. Goals are annual. So 2024 goals. So for me, my top 3 right now are, so when you said get your first million, we are 7 years in and we've grossed over $1 million across the 7-year period. This year, we're shooting for $500,000 just in this year, which is really good I always joke, I say for a podcaster, that's great. For a business owner, not so much. All right. So my goal for 2024 is 500 gross revenue, $50,000 cash on hand. And then I have a goal of 35 business coaching clients. And right now I'm at 23. Okay. Wow. I'm actually about to be at 24, hopefully later today. All right. Then you break those down into milestones. Milestones are quarterly. Okay. So this is Q3. We're in Q3 right now. And this is 90-day chunks, 90-day chunks, 90-day. And you take those goals that are annual and you break them down. So this quarter, we need to gross at least 100K to hit our goal. Next is I need to be at 30 clients by the end of the quarter. And then after that, I think we need to have 25K cash on hand. Okay. Then there's inch pebbles. So inch pebbles lead to milestones. Milestones lead to goals. Goals lead to your dream statement. Okay. So it's called dreamlining. We have something called a dreamliner right here that helps you.
Wow.
The top of the mountain is the star right there. And then
I love the name. The name is very good.
Thank you.
Dreamliner.
If you look it up on Amazon, it's right next to a couple jets.
Brilliant.
But anyways, so that's number 2. Number 2 is goal setting. and metrics. You have to track the right things. If you track the right things, you'll focus on the right things. If you focus on the right things, you'll say, do, think, feel, and believe the right things. If you say, think, do, feel, and believe in the right things, you'll invest your time, effort, money in the right person's places, things, and ideas, and then you'll get the results. Again, that's a very complicated process. That's why I don't talk about it on podcasts, and that's why I'm red right now and embarrassed. Okay. Number 3, team, tools, and training. You need a team, and you need, I don't care if it's a peak performance partner, a therapist, a coach, or all 3. Your intimate partner. Like, are you recruiting the people around you to help you achieve those goals and dreams? If you, I can tell you right now, I've coached for 7 years straight. I've had hundreds of clients at this point that have come and gone, 100 plus. I have a 10,000 hour tracker. I'm coming up on 8,000 right now of podcasting, coaching, speaking, training, and writing. I can tell you right now, the number one bottleneck to everyone, as bold of a statement as this is your family. It's your superpower and it's your bottleneck. If you have a family that is supportive of entrepreneurship and supportive of big goals and dreams and supportive of you needing to work hard, you'll be good. And that's great. Most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, entrepreneurs' biggest bottleneck is that their family doesn't understand why they're doing what they're doing. Their family doesn't believe in them. They think they do and they don't. You know how I know that? When someone comes later on and you're successful, right? We cross 1 million listens, $1 million, all this stuff, 23-person team, blah, blah, blah. And then people come over to you and they see you like, oh my God, you did it. Oh my God, like you did it.
How surprised they
Oh,
are, right?
yeah, you're so shocked.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
see. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, apparently you didn't think I was gonna, right? I often joke, people say these big audacious goals, and then they like go to the beach, right? It's funny. So for me, I meant it when I said it. And I think some people don't, right? So I get it. But anyways, people, and I always say this, I don't need your belief now.
I did before.
I needed it in the beginning. I
Yeah.
desperately needed it in the beginning. By the time you get everyone else to believe in you, you don't need it anymore. You're
Yeah,
already
yeah.
successful. You already have a recognizable brand. It's so ironic. So careful with
If I
that.
tell you the story of my family, you will laugh. It was, my goodness. They were saying, they raised me, okay, you need to study hard, you need to go to university, and you need to find a good job. And then all of a sudden, after I had this corporate job in Spain, I was actually working as software developer, yeah, in Java and
Nice.
Oracle. And then I dropped the corporate job in Spain, and I came here to London and became a bartender. And it was a nightmare for my family. What are you doing there? You crazy? You have
Yep.
good job in Spain, and you left it, and now you swiping tables in a bar in London.
Good for
I said
you.
no, because I'm thinking that here I got better opportunity to grow a bit, to do a business, whatever. And nobody and then
Believed in
I
you.
started the business, and then every time that I said to my mom, I'm going to expand, my mom was, no, don't expand, don't expand.
Yeah.
No, like this is fine, why do you want more? That's the only thing that I get from my family.
No,
So
yeah.
it was
That's see, but if you let that stop you, there would be your biggest bottleneck because you love
yeah.
your family, right?
Mhm,
We don't want to be. We all live in this box between failure and success.
mhm.
We don't want to be failures in our peer group's eyes because we all want to belong, but we also don't want to be so successful that we get ostracized.
Yeah.
So we're afraid of success and failure. It's really quite a thing. So team tools and training is number 3, which is just you need to surround yourself with the right people. You need to have the right people on your team, and you need to learn how to lead. So that would be number 4. Number 4 is you have to learn how to
I
lead.
love it, I love it.
If you don't know how to lead and positively influence people without manipulating them, you are screwed in business, in my opinion. Because yeah, financial capital can do a lot of the leadership for you, but nothing can replace leading by example. Nothing can replace an emotional, intelligent, well-adapted leader who is transformational and who leads by example. And so leadership, I could go for days. I know we got to go. So that's number 4. Number 5. Number 5 would be ask your team and everyone around you, and you have to be careful with this because if you're surrounded by the wrong people, remember, unsolicited advice is actually an indicator that someone else is arrogant. Like if you came to me and said, "Hey, Alan, you really should XYZ," and if you're ahead of me in business, that's fine. But if you're not, especially in podcast, like if you told me how to podcast, I would think you're arrogant because I have 1,700 episodes. I'm way ahead of you, and that's okay. Unsolicited advice is proof of arrogance. But if you have people who work on your team, and I do this all the time with my team, I say, is there anything about me, NLU, or our work together that's been bothering you lately that you wish didn't, but it still sort of does? I call it the permission question. The permission question gives them permission to give the leader, the CEO, tough feedback. And so that's number 5. And if you get to that level, you're going to be fine. Because basically, at that point, it's just asking for constructive feedback all the time. And then eventually they learn that they're safe to do that. But you got to watch out because I've done that with people who are arrogant and it goes to their head. In other words, people who are not self-aware, if I ask you for advice or feedback, unconsciously you might think that I think you're better than I am. When in reality, I'm just trying to get better. And quite frankly, the fact that I'm humble enough to ask is proof that you're not my leader. And so you've got to be careful with the humility thing because a lot of people see humility and vulnerability as weakness. But if you're around the right people who are not manipulative and who
Around the
actually
right
believe in
people will
themselves and who
be,
are growth minded, people who
you
are growth
say,
minded will appreciate it. But remember, what's a cred hit for one person is a cred build for another. So if you were to ask me questions about podcasting, that would be a cred build for me.
mhm,
And I would think more of you, not less. Some people would think, oh, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know enough. Like he's not the leader I thought he was. And it's all unconscious. And so fixed mindset people, you got to be very careful because think about it. If you have a fixed mindset and you don't believe in yourself, you have to manipulate in order to get to where you are. And that's a whole nother podcast episode.
But Alan, I agree 100%, and I have a lot of challenges with this topic that you just covered, the 5th one, because in the end of the day, right, once you have the right people in the organization, right, um, you are in the point. Like remember when I used to go to my office of the real estate, I managed to hire everybody that was better than me in everything, right? So to the point that they didn't even need to go there. So I remember that when I was there, I was no need. I was asking the guy, "Do you need paper for the for the photocopy? What do you need? How can I help you to do your better? Because honestly, you're running the whole thing yourself. So do you need paper the photocopy? Oh, Harry, go home. We don't need anything. Go home." Like that was like that, right?
Nice.
So, however, to get to this journey, it was a big process, yeah, and it was difficult for me to articulate, right? Because talking about the unsolicited advice, right? Um, I've been trained, right, and I learned in the early ways of as an entrepreneur, right, that I'm more receptive to the advice of somebody that already have achieved the goal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because a lot of elements, sometimes the employees don't understand that, right? The employees sit with me, "Harry, look, I think that we should do better this and this and this." And as an entrepreneur, we have very short period of time. They have to deliver tasks that they haven't done it, and they should be doing the time, locating the time there. And then they sit with you to give you a conference, how to achieve A, one, and Z. And I don't know what to say because I said, "Look, I'm grateful for what you're saying, but you
Yep.
are only a part of the equation. I built this from scratch. So this part that
Yep.
you're covering, I covered the whole thing by myself.
Yep.
You're trying to improve this bit. I'm telling you here because I did this plus all by myself. So uh and then at some point, the some people were saying in the office, "No, Harry doesn't listen." It's not that Harry doesn't listen. It's not that I don't listen, but I listen to people that actually, if somebody have a big. I was listening to my friend that he was selling millions in real estate, and he
Yep.
told me stuff,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I was listening him a lot, right?
Yep.
But sometimes running the organization, and when you had the wrong people, I had to say, right?
Of
When you have the
course.
wrong people at the beginning, because at the beginning you don't have experience, so you hire the wrong people because
Every
you don't
time.
have so much money and whatever. So you're trying to navigate the situation. I had
Yep.
this incident, was painful. Finally, I managed to achieve it. One thing that I think I did by accident, it was I put in behind my desk, I put a sign, yeah, that would say, don't don't come with the problem if you don't have the solution, right? So
Nice.
people used to come to me, all the employees, Harry, I want to do this. I said, do you read behind? Ah, no, I don't have. Okay, go back. When you have the solution, we talk. And
Nice.
by accident, they realized that, you know what, what's the point to talk to him? He's not going to get the solution. I have to create the solution myself.
Yep.
And by accident, I create this mindset in the company, and it was so good that they didn't need me anymore.
Nice. Nice.
And I was trying to protect myself, because otherwise I spend the whole day solving problems. I'm kind of thinking, if I pay you and I solve you the problem, what I'm paying you for? That's what I was thinking, right?
Absolutely.
And,
There's a difference between consulting and then doing everything for everybody. And I know we got to jump because I go in 1 minute. Real quick, Harry, I want to share this. In my company, I say this all the time. I say, I'm asking everyone for feedback because I need the data of the feet on the street.
of course.
But when you give advice on where the company should go forward, remember that we might not take your advice. I don't want you to give
100%.
advice and then get offended when I don't implement it. Because just because I'm asking for data does not mean that your way is the way. And because you only understand your one piece, I understand the whole. And so, yes, I need data from every piece, every department. We have 22 departments. But at the end of the day, I have to make the decision, and I'll take responsibility for the consequences. Right? So, yeah.
Thank
We got to
you so
jump.
much, Alan.
Yeah,
That would
you're
be
welcome.
brilliant.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Bye
Appreciate
for
you.
now. And
Thank you so much.
See you everyone in our next podcast, 5 Steps How to Pay Your First Million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.